Well, Terry McLaurin's back. Jayden Daniels is back. Do the Commanders now have the best offense in the NFL? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. We have been overwhelmed with news lately, and finally yesterday we got the resolution we were all after. Terry McLaurin put pen to paper on a 3-year, $96 million contract that will earn him up to $32 million average annual value. Still don't know the fully guaranteed money. We know he got a $30 million signing bonus, but that's it for now. If you ask me, probably indicates it's the guarantees slant a little bit in the team's favor. I would just assume that his agents, someone in his camp would have leaked the guarantees if they were in his favor, but I could be totally wrong too. And at the end of the day, it means nothing because Terry is going to be at practice. He's going to be in week 1. He's going to be in week 17. He's going to be in the playoffs. He's going to be there for this legitimate Super Bowl push that the Commanders are trying to put together. Guys, we're going to break down if the Commanders have the number 1 offense in the NFL today and why I think that they do have a chance to lead the NFL in scoring. But before we do, smash that like button. That is the easiest way that you can support me, hitting that like button. Also, press that subscribe button if you are new here or if you're a returning viewer but have not joined the community. I would just ask you why, because if you look at the bottom right there, we had 2,000 subscribers. You guys are crazy. Seriously, I started posting daily a month ago, and we're already at 2,000 subscribers. This has blown away all expectations I had for myself in this channel and for you guys. I'm loving the direction that we are going in, and it's nothing without you guys. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being there. If you've been there with me from day one, if you just joined up last week, doesn't matter. I appreciate all of you. And as always, as we go through this video and we go through the rest of my videos, do go to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything I say because I make these videos for you guys. So go ahead, give me your feedback. So real quick, before we jump into anything, I want to talk about if Terry McLaurin is going to start the year on a pitch count. I saw this was a popular topic of conversation. And yes, I expect him to be a little bit limited in that I don't think he'll be playing his full 75, 80, 85% of snaps in week 1, but I don't think there's a designated number. As soon as he gets this amount, we got to scratch him off. He's not coming back. He's not stepping back onto the field. No, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think Terry is in shape. I think he's been going full speed on his routes. Reportedly, he and Jayden Daniels have been playing pitch and catch after practice, so they have that connection. But the best way to get ready to play football is to play football. And running routes 1-on-0 with nobody covering you is not the same as feeling the physical effects of going against a physical cornerback who's playing press coverage or getting tackled and getting hit over the center of the field and having to pop back up, and you're running no huddle, so you got to get back on the line and get ready to go again. No, it's just a little bit different. So again, I think Terry will be available in full. Doesn't mean they're going to utilize him as heavily as they did at different points in last year, but I expect he's still going to be on the field for 60, 70% of the plays at least. Also, one of the benefits of Terry and Noah Brown missing training camp, pretty much all of it, is that you got extra reps for Jalen Lane and Deebo Samuel and Luke McCaffrey, and you have people who can rotate in. So if Terry needs 1 extra play off, 2 extra plays off per drive, well, you've given experience to the guys below him on the depth chart, and they'll have no problem filling in. And it's not as if you're scraping the bottom of the barrel there, because Noah Brown was going full speed during his warmups before that Ravens game. Seems as if he could be available for week 1 as well. So you could have Terry, Noah Brown, and Deebo, and if you just got to rotate one of those out, well, we all seem to like Jalen Lane, so I don't think we would mind putting him on the field. Luke McCaffrey, I get it, very divisive right now, but Luke is a solid blocker, so take Terry out on a running play, put Luke in to block a little, bring Terry back out to run a route on the next play. It's not that difficult. So if you're asking me again, I don't think doctors are going to Dan Quinn saying, hey, Terry can play a maximum of 30 snaps today. I don't foresee anything like that happening. Now let's talk about the actual expectations for the offense here. Let's start it off with everybody's favorite household name, Jacory Croskey-Merrit, better known affectionately as Bill. Just from a fantasy football perspective, this guy is becoming one of the most popular players in the NFL. His ADP, average draft position, is flown up by like 100. he was pretty much undrafted in every league. It's now getting drafted in the 7th round of redrafts. He's going even higher in Dynasty. I got him in my Dynasty league. I signed him as a free agent very, very early on in the summer because we did our draft very early. Realistic expectations for Bill. And I want to temper this because I don't want to come out and say he's going to take over the league. He's the next Bucky Irving. He's going to run for 1,000 yards. No, I don't want to put those expectations on him, frankly, because I don't need to, because he's been one of 4 in a running back committee. But 2, it's just unfair to the kid. He didn't play football last year, and he's a 7th round rookie. Let's give him some grace and not demand that he be this excellent player straight out of the gates. But with all that being said, I was looking back at some numbers from last season for running backs, and I just stumbled upon J.K. Dobbins, who seems like an old man in this NFL. He was only drafted in 2020. It's just because he suffered such a litany of injuries. But last year with the Chargers, Dobbins only played 13 games and got to 905 yards. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry. He only had 2 games above 100 yards rushing. Those were actually the first 2 games of the season when he went for 135 and 131. But I'm just going to read you his game-to-game numbers after that. He goes 44 yards, 32, 96, 40, 57, 85, 50, 56, 40, 76, 63. In 13 games, that got him to 905 yards. So if we do 905 divided by 13 times 17, assuming he had played all 17 games, that's 1,183 yards. Again, on 4.6 yards per carry, which is not elite. It's solid, but it's not elite. Should that be out of the question for Bill? I don't think it should be. It doesn't sound that crazy to me. I think the problem he'd run into there is some of his volume, because again, he will be splitting snaps. But if the year goes on and he's outworking the other players around him, then you're only asking him to get 2 games of 100 plus yards and just solid efficiency. For comparison, Brian Robinson ran for 4.3 yards per carry last season. We know that B-Rob was a lot worse, about 0.6 yards per carry worse running from out of shotgun versus under center. Bill seems to fit this shotgun style more. Also, the Commanders look like they want to get to some more gap scheme runs where they're using horizontal blocking, pullers, things of that, traps, things of that nature. And that also fits the speed that Bill has. So with all that being said, could he get to 800, 900 yards as a rookie and it not even feel like a huge strain, a huge ask? I think it's certainly possible. So if you get Bill for 800 yards, you get Jayden for 700, you get C-Rod for 600. These aren't incredible numbers from an individual standpoint, but the effectiveness of the running game would be incredible. The Commanders would have one of the best running attacks in the league if all of that were to happen. So Bill, in his last full season at the University of New Mexico, he averaged 6.3 yards per carry, got to 1,190 yards and 17 touchdowns. In his 1 game at Arizona, he had 106 yards on 8.2 yards per carry, and he scored a touchdown. He only averaged 3.9 yards per carry during the preseason, but a lot of that was certainly tanked by bad blockers. There was a very clear difference in his effectiveness early on in that Bengals game compared to later on, and also in that Patriots game when the top linemen weren't playing, and you saw that reflected in the stat sheet. But you saw the explosiveness, you saw the potential. Someone else who showed their potential, Chris Rodriguez Jr. This is a guy who's completely flown under the radar. I've said numerous times on this channel, we're talking about C-Rod as if he might not get the first carry of the Commander season, which I think he will. In his games where he's been splitting the carries with Bill, C-Rod has still been the number 1 back. I fully expect him to get the first carry of the year if it's not a QB keeper by Jayden Daniels. Now, I know he was on the practice squad, C-Rod was, but it's not as if he's some chump, and he's not some aging veteran who's just been running around the NFL for the past decade. He was drafted in 2023. He was a draft pick. He was in the 6th round, but it's not like he was a UDFA, and he wasn't even Bill. Bill was the 7th rounder. C-Rod actually did get picked. It was by Ron Rivera. We can have a conversation about that and Rivera's drafting acumen, but point being, there was legitimate reason to believe in this guy's potential. In his final 3 seasons at Kentucky, he had 3,068 yards, averaged 5.9 yards per carry, scored 29 touchdowns. In his NFL career, very limited snaps, but he's averaged 4.9 yards per carry. Again, going back to B-Rob, who we know is out of the building now, B-Rob averaged 3.9 yards per carry as a rookie, 4.1 as a sophomore, 4.3 last year. C-Rod's averaged 4.9. Very different because you're only coming in for a couple of plays and you get to go against lesser defenders, or you get to go against, or you're at full strength, while B-Rob might be more tired playing every snap, basically. I get all of that. That is all true. But his college numbers, again, to average over 1,000 yards, 6 yards per carry, and 10 touchdowns a season, Kentucky might not be a powerhouse in college football, but he was playing an SEC schedule. Who cares what his team looks like? If anything, it would be harder for him behind Kentucky's offensive linemen, and knowing their historic lack of talent at the quarterback and receiver positions, for him to produce those numbers against SEC defenses shows what he can be if you actually give him the reins. He's not going to be the bell cow, but he's going to get a steady diet. And that's something that Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury have made it abundantly clear they are comfortable doing. So I say all of this to lead us into the big question: what does the offense look like? Well, this might sound contradictory, but despite the unknowns of the C-Rods and the Bills and the new offensive linemen, and is Noah Brown going to be healthy? Is Sam Cosmi going to be playing in week 1? Is Brandon Coleman better from his ankle injury? Despite all of those unknowns, this Commanders offense has something the last one didn't, which is reliability. Last year, you had to convert on 4th down. You had to have these fourth quarter game-winning late comebacks to win games. You don't have to do that this season. You have a diverse running game. You have 4 legitimate running back options. C-Rod has dropped some weight. He's a little more explosive, but he's also your goal line, your short yardage, bruiser, grounded out back. Jacory Croskey-Merrit is this one-cut, speed, explosiveness, horizontal guy who fights for yards, but also can take the top off the defense if you let him get into the second level. You've got Jeremy McNichols, who is a bit of a do-it-all, your best pass protection back. And you've got Austin Eckler, who's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL and is a great third down scat back sort of player to have. Austin Eckler's production, the numbers overall weren't great, but if you average them out and just look at his impact on a per play basis, Austin Eckler had a very good year last year. Now let's talk about the offensive line. Brandon Coleman moving inside to guard. We only got to see him in one game. It was against backups, but he looked monstrous at that guard position. Brian Mitchell said that he thinks if there's one first-time Pro Bowler on the roster this season, it is Brandon Coleman. So expectations are high for him. Sam Cosmi has made a Pro Bowl before. Tyler Biadasz is an incredibly reliable center to have. Laramie Tunsil allowed 10 sacks in the last 4 seasons. Josh Connolly allowed 2 in his last 2 seasons at Oregon. So you've got an improved pass protection with the offensive line, and you've got a wider spread of options available to you in the running game, because you can go zone scheme, but you can also now go gap scheme because you've upgraded your athleticism. You can go power straight forward. You can go speed side to side. Then you get to the receiving options. Terry back with his new contract. He's going to be feeling good. He's your intermediate deep ball threat who had a 70% contested catch rate last season. That is elite. He's going to win those 50-50 balls. If 50-50 balls become 70-30 balls, your offense is in pretty good shape. Noah Brown as your wide receiver 2. This is something that's so underrated about Noah Brown. His size and strength is not typical for someone who plays that position, that role in the offense. Anquan Bolden was a bit similar, and Anquan Bolden was a 1 certainly at his peak in his career, but he also later became a 2. And when you get isolated on the lesser cornerback, and you're this big physical dude, Noah Brown's 6'2", 6'3", really strong, and he can move. He's not like a fence post. He's not stuck in the ground. He's wiggling side to side and getting open. That creates mismatches. While you've got all of that going on, you've got Deebo Samuel, who you have to pay attention to in the short and underneath stuff, because Deebo has led the NFL in yards after catch for 4 straight seasons. So you've got Terry, who's turning 50-50 balls into 70-30 balls. You've got Noah Brown, who has a size and strength advantage over basically all of the second cornerback options on the team. With all of that, you're going to have to be flying down and rallying to Deebo to tackle with multiple defenders, because he's going to break the first tackle. And then if you get Jalen Lane on the field, now you've got a 4-3 burner who's going vertical and taking the top off the defense. How do you cover all of that? Not even mentioning, by the way, not even mentioning that Zach Ertz is a consistent, reliable man beater over the middle of the field. If you're going too empty or you've got 3 receivers on the field and you've got the defense is in nickel personnel, all the secondary members are occupied with the outside guys. You're going to get a linebacker trying to cover Zach Ertz over the middle of the field. In man coverage, it's not going to work. And in a zone, he's going to find the soft spot because he's played for so long and he's so intelligent and so manipulative that he's going to find that open space, and it's going to be a 7-yard gain on 3rd and 5, and it's going to be a first down. With all of that going on, and with the running game being what it is, and with the improved offensive line, now you've got Jayden Daniels, who ran for 900 yards last year as a rookie, the most in NFL history for a quarterback. What do you do? How do you stop this diverse running game with a tight end who wins against man and zone, with a deep ball contested catch master, with a size mismatch, with a speed mismatch, with the ability to get yards after catch, with a running quarterback? The answer is you don't. You hear this phrase more in basketball than you do football. But you ever watch a game and Kawhi Leonard is playing outstanding defense and LeBron just hits a turnaround over him on the elbow? And the commentator, Reggie Miller says, man, great offense beats great defense. That's the case in the NFL. You simply cannot cover everything the Commanders have available to them. You might lose some possessions, you might lose some plays, but over the course of a season, if things play out the way they should, and defensive coordinators are smart, I'm not saying that you can't put together a great game plan to stop the Commanders. But if the Commanders do what they're supposed to, and if they stay one step ahead, just like Cliff Kingsbury did all throughout last season with his game planning, there's no reason the Commanders can't be stopped. And there's no reason they can't can be stopped? No reason they can't be stopped. Yes. And there's no reason they can't lead the NFL in scoring. And one final component here, with all of it, with the improved weapons, the improved running game, the improved offensive line, you take so much strain off of the shoulders of Jayden Daniels. As a rookie, I've said this so many times at this point, everyone's convinced that Jayden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump. The rest of the NFL world is, yet they're high on Bo Nix, and they're high on Caleb Williams, and they're high on Drake May. It's just narratives. In America, we like to root for people's downfall. We like the big guy to fall, and we like the little guys to rise. We like the David versus Goliath story. Right now, Jayden Daniels is Goliath. He's humble, certainly. And we know what Jayden actually is. But he's the one who succeeded when he wasn't supposed to. Now it's time for a little guy to rise up, and they need to succeed, which means Jayden has to fall. No, this was a great rookie class. Or last year was a great rookie class. Maybe all of them. Maybe all 6 of those quarterbacks should be great this year. I don't know. But one thing I do know is Jayden is not going to fall, and the rest of them are going to rise up. If Jayden Daniels is exactly the same player he was as a rookie, which he should be, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That's what he was last year. Now, you might get improved performances from Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff or CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, sure, whatever. But if Jayden is that guy that he was last year, he's going to be great. The difference is he doesn't have to carry the entire offense on his shoulders. I went back and I looked at some game log data last year. Jayden Daniels, or rather the Commanders, in games in which Jayden Daniels did not have a QBR above 80. Keep in mind, QBR scored 0 to 100. 50 is league average. Josh Allen. What was Josh Allen's QBR for the year last year? Josh Allen won MVP with a QBR of 77. That was his average. In games in which Jayden Daniels did not have a QBR above 80, the Commanders were 6-5. So the team was basically 500 when Jayden Daniels was not playing above MVP level. Just think about that for a moment. We don't even know about the playoffs because he had a QBR above 80 in all 3 playoff games. And let's look at those 3 playoff games. One was a last-second winner on a field goal that clanked off the upright that might not have happened if Baker hadn't fumbled a jet sweep. Jayden Daniels still had, I think it was an 84 in that game. Against the Lions, he was phenomenal, and they blow them out. Not blow them out, but they win comfortably. Jayden's QBR was like 95 or something in that game. And then the game against the Eagles, where they lost by 32 points, and Jayden shrunk and he crumbled in the moment. He had a QBR of like 81. And he had to be perfect for this team to win games last year. That's not the case anymore. He has support from the offensive line, from the running backs, from the receivers, from the tight ends, from an improved defense. So a carefree Jayden isn't going to have to be so caught up in the mindset of I can't turn this ball over because if I turn it over one time, we're going to lose the game. No, just go out there and make plays. But I have big expectations for this offense. I think if they're not top 5 in scoring, especially with their no-huddle tempo, then I think something went wrong. And they can still win games without it, but I do think the ceiling is just so high for this group that with Terry back in the fold, it's only been 18 hours, but it's finally starting to dawn on me. I'm starting to process what this team could look like, and I will be in that stadium in week 1, and I am so excited to see it. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you do hit that like button. Once again, 2,000 subscribers. I'm so humbled by it. I appreciate the support more than you guys will probably ever know. Go to the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are about this offense. What are you most excited to see among the new changes? Do you think they can lead the league in scoring? Everything, go to the comment section. I will be back later today when the 53-man roster cuts are announced. So as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.